Welcome to the 3 Knockdown Rule. Starring Mario Lopez and Steve Kim. Presented by Hustler Casino.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Knockdown Rule is in effect, brought to you by Hustler Casino. I'm Steve Kim, joined by our co-host, Mario BMO Lopez. Big weekend ahead of us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. BMO, they like it pronounced, by the way. BMO right there, home of LAFC, which is a hell of an arena. I'm so excited about this Saturday. Obviously, we're going to get into it. But shout out quickly to Smoke and Tim Frazier and
Tino on the edits. The Boutsheet for this program. It's Riyadh season in LA. And then scheduled to join us on the championship hotline is Terence Bud Crawford, Israil Madrimov, and Pitbull Cruz. And we also go into final flurries. But we want to let you know this podcast is sponsored by Hustler Casino, located 15 minutes from downtown LA. Make sure to come by and play in the VIP Baccarat games for your chance to win a luxury designer gift. Every Thursday, starting July 11th, there will be 3 prize drawings every Thursday at 4, 6, and 10 p.m. Play now to earn drawing tickets for a chance to win at Hustler Casino.
Round 1.
All right, we get started from BMO Stadium in LA on various pay-per-view platforms. We focus in on the main event for the WBA junior middleweight title of the world. Israil Madrimov takes on Terence Bud Crawford. Mario, as we tape this today, it is the exact 1-year anniversary of Crawford's decisive victory over Errol Spence. It also marks the 4th or 5th year in a row where he only fights once in a calendar year, and now he's 36. Is there any chance that ring rust now becomes corrosion at this stage?
You know, it's frustrating to hear what you just said, considering he's one of the best fighters in the world, arguably pound for pound. He's always discussed as the man. And yes, to answer your question, quite frankly, I think you never know when one gets old or a couple miles come off that fastball. I'm not saying that's going to happen necessarily to Bud this weekend. I actually still like him in the fight and feel he should be favored. I think he will definitely find himself in a fight. I think regardless of what happens, he knows he would have been in a fight. I think Madrimov is the type of individual who is not going to be intimidated, recognizes the opportunity, and is going to be well prepared. A guy naturally in that weight class, strong, fast, athletic, well seasoned, even though he's only got
less than a dozen
pro fights, but what an amateur background. So it's not like he doesn't know how to fight. Will the moment be too big? Those are real questions. He hasn't fought on this stage before at this level. And Crawford, you have to lean towards all the intangibles. He knows the moment. He's been there. His experience, level of competition. We've discussed how he's ambidextrous and one of the best adjusters in the middle of a fight. But be that as it may, how you initially pointed out, he is 36 now. He has only fought once a year. It may take him a while to kind of get there. I see it being very competitive and not a walk in the park for Bud, and it being a tough, close fight that I feel he will probably get his hand raised at the end. But will it be enough to accelerate the chance for Canelo? That I don't know.
I believe the test for Terence Crawford here is to not just win, but to dominate to a point, as you alluded to, that, hey, you know what? We'd like to see Canelo. Because even if it's a close 7-5 type of fight, now the discussion becomes, should he really stick around here at 54 instead of just escalating all the way up to 168? Let me say this about Madrimov, as someone that has covered him from day one, and I remember 3-4 years ago, about a month before the pandemic when the world was shut down, I was embedded in his camp in Frisco, Texas. That was the night that Jesse Vargas faced Mikey Garcia.
Yes, I remember that.
So I have intimate knowledge of this whole camp. Keep this in mind with Joel Diaz and that gym and Vadim Kornilov, our old friend. That's the same camp for the most part with the same people as Dmitry Bivol. They know how to prepare for a big fight. Pulling off a big upset, they've done this before. They've been here before. And I was there last week in Indio at the Diaz Brothers training camp. I'm just going to put it to you like this. I don't sense a lot of fear or trepidation. I don't know if the moment's going to be too big for him, but this is what I do know. His athleticism and his footwork and the fact he's almost like a gymnast, Madrimov will cause and ask more questions of Terence Crawford than anyone he's ever faced. His ability to attack at angles. He also likes to switch it. And keep this in mind, Mario, we have not brought this up. He's the natural 54-pounder, and being next to him, he's as well put together physically as any junior middleweight I have ever seen.
Yeah, no, his physique is impressive, and those are muscles for go, not just for show. Now, Crawford's always looked big to me for the weight class. So when they stand next to each other, it's not like he looks like the smaller man in there. He's filled out, I think, pretty nicely, and I think the power is going to be there. And he's always well prepared, and he stays in the gym. It's his lifestyle. He's really about that life. Are you bold enough to predict an upset?
No. As I wrote, look, I believe that, as you said, by the time that night is over on Saturday night, people are going to say, man, Crawford's in a real fight. I still have some reservations about, and I get it, there's a thing called experience and there's the thing called corrosion. When you turn the other side, when you start to go backwards. Crawford is such a disciplined guy that I believe that he's one of the few fighters that can get away with the year-long layoff. Other guys can't because, quite frankly, they don't live the lifestyle. Right. In many ways, Crawford is like a Bernard Hopkins also, but I just think he's a little bit more athletic.
Correct.
Here's the issue. I wish Madrimov would just have 4 or 5 more fights. Here's a young fighter, and he's right now in his athletic prime at age 29. But he lost a year or two because of the pandemic, didn't have a lot of activity, and then the Michelle Sorrell fight, which ended because he didn't hear the bell and a knockout happened, and they waved that off, and they had to do a rematch. So certain things have conspired for him not to be a little bit more seasoned. I believe Madrimov is going to win his share of rounds early, but what does Crawford do better than any fighter? I call him the pool hall hustler. He gives you something early to take it all back late. I believe that Crawford will win the WBA junior middleweight title, but as I said in K9's Corner, looking back 15, 20 years, if we're still good enough to be here, we're going to say, man, that's one of his best victories against that guy.
Yeah, it's a very, very impressive resume. Should he be victorious and look impressive? Now, if for some reason he is able to make a statement, then I think those chants get louder, and then I think it behooves him, Canelo, to sort of make that fight. And I think it will be called for more than even Benavidez. I honestly don't think after Benavidez goes to 175, he's going to come back down.
Yeah.
I think if Canelo wants to fight him, he'd have to go back up to 175. And I don't think he wants any sort of part of that at this point in his career. So for the sport itself, it would make a lot of sense if he goes out there and puts out an outstanding performance and looks very dominant, because then the drums will beat louder. And coming on the heels of this disappointing announcement of Berlanga with Canelo, which I know we'll get into later, that can sort of kind of salvage everything again.
Yeah, and I want to make this clear. I give Crawford a lot of credit. I was given a heads up on this fight by one of his representatives about 2.5 months ago, and he said, what do you think about this fight against Madrimov? And I said, let me just tell you something. That's a real fight. I'm not going to lie to you. That's not an easy fight at all. To put this into perspective, even at 10-0 and 1-7 knockouts, Madrimov is the third-rated 54-pounder in the world. So he's an elite guy. So Crawford is not taking a soft touch. No. I don't care if the casual fan in Peoria doesn't know who he is. I remember boxing insiders telling me that this is one of the very best amateurs of that class. Keep this in mind. In his pro debut back in 2018, he faced Vladimir Hernandez. To this day, who was still knocking off undefeated prospects, Madrimov iced him in 6. Dominated him. In fact, they wanted to fight Jaime Munguia in fight 1. So that's the type of confidence that Vadim Kornilov and Oleg Frolov and that whole team have. So all I'm going to say is this. I like Crawford in this fight, but as I said in my column, It's a real fight. I cannot wait to be out here Saturday night.
I can't believe you're leaving the house. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
And people will know who he is after that fight.
Absolutely.
I think I too, I'm excited about the whole card, and I think it's going to end with fireworks.
All right, when we come back, we have more of the 3 Knockdown Rule brought to you by Hustler Casino.
Catch it streaming live right on YouTube.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
$1.2 million.
And I'm losing in this fucking game. What the fuck?
There's a 400K flip. If I win by the way, you get 10 grand.
Fucking straddle!
For my fans!
What? I read it twice!
Wow. All in a call.
I'm not fucking leaving!
Raise it up.
All right, we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule brought to you by Hustler Casino. And joining us right now on the championship hotline, a very special guest, has a big assignment this Saturday night at BMO Stadium in LA. The guy that will be challenging for the WBA junior middleweight title of the world, Terence Bud Crawford.
My man. Who's super chill right now. I'm very jealous. This is our first interview with someone in a bed.
Yeah.
Which I like. My guy's not worried about anything.
Nothing. He's good.
Up this Saturday. First of all, Terence, how are you feeling week of the fight? How's this new weight class feeling for you? Your training camp in general, what are your thoughts?
I'm feeling great. I'm just resting. We had a great training camp as always. And now it's just, letting your body rest as much as you possibly can let it rest until fight time.
And I'm just curious, Terence, what's your walk around weight normally?
I don't know, probably it fluctuates.
It does, because I know you're always in shape. It's not like we ever see you. I know you stay in the gym and you're always in shape and stuff, but obviously no issues as far as cutting or for 154. I got to imagine you must feel stronger than ever.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. I'm definitely feeling better right now at 54 than I did at 47 at this particular time.
Terence, as we tape this interview today, this is the 1-year anniversary of your victory over Errol Spence. Be honest, did you think a year from now, you'd be facing Israil Madrimov? Be honest, did you even know who Madrimov was at this point last year?
To be honest, I did know who Madrimov was, but I didn't project myself fighting Madrimov. I honestly thought I was going to fight Spence again and then move up and fight somebody like Jermell Charlo.
Terence, there was a rematch clause. And see, this is where it's a little unfair when people say, well, Terence didn't fight the rest of the year. You were boxed in because there was a rematch obligation.
Right.
And they strung it out, and it went all the way to the beginning, really December 31st. Terence, were you surprised and were you angered when they basically pulled the plug on that rematch? Because you could have fought another fight if they would have allowed you to.
I was actually surprised and angry at the same time. Because given the circumstances of the first fight, I was thinking that Spence would want to rematch me again, to get his get back, like he said. But for them to go cold turkey, I was surprised on everything and a little disappointing at the same time.
I bet that's got to be incredibly frustrating. We were frustrated as fans too, not getting to see you in action. Now that Madrimov is obviously on your radar, I'm curious, when facing any opponent, do you study tape? How much research do you do? And what are your thoughts on him as a fighter?
Well, I don't really like to study too much because, like I always tell everybody, he's not going to fight me the same way that he fought his previous opponents because we got different styles. I know he's going to come in there and he's going to be 110% prepared. I know he's going to be elusive and strong and, he may just try to jump on me. I don't know, but whatever it is, we're going to be ready for it.
Terence, it's interesting. After that fight where you beat Spence, it's like you went to another level. And I also remember seeing a clip of you on a CBS morning show. It wasn't a sports show. It was like their morning show. And I was like, wow, Terence has kind of like made it. Did your life perceptively change all that much because of that victory? Or has it been basically the same thing for you?
Basically the same for me. These are things that come with the sport, but at the same time, my personal life and the way I carry my life and things around me, nothing has changed.
That's cool. It keeps it real. Terence, should you win, do you want Canelo immediately or a fight at 160 prior?
Well, I'm not even thinking about that right now because I'm so dialed in and focused on Israil Madrimov to even say I'm worried or thinking about a Canelo fight is 100% wrong right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a pro right there.
In other words, it's one fight at a time. But it's interesting. I've seen some of the comments of His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. He seems to really be a Terence Crawford guy. Like he almost seems to think like, this is my guy and I want to make the biggest fights for him, including Canelo. Terence, when did you first meet him and why do you think you guys are on the same wavelength to the degree that you are?
I first met him in New York and cool dude, very chill. He's a big fan of boxing and I just think, he respects everything that I've done in the sport of boxing. He respects my craft, everything that I've been through, all the promoters that, talk bad about me to him and whatnot. I just think, he respects how I carry myself and just the whole 9 yards. I just think, it's a whole, it's not just one thing that, he would probably take and say, oh, well, this is the reason why I like him. I think it's a whole package. I think, the father that I am, just everything, my team, how loyal I am, how real I am, just all in all.
I think he sees, what a lot of other people see. And I love that he is a big fan because, man, I got to tell you, this Saturday, I'm so excited. Aside from the main event, of course, which you're featured in, the whole card is stacked. It's at a beautiful venue at BMO Stadium. It's outside. We got Eminem performing. This whole thing is like not just a fight card. It is an event happening right here in LA and Hollywood. That is cool, man. I mean, I know you've been in this game a while, but that's got to get you fired up, right?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely chilling right now. But at the same time, I think the closer the fight, the more fire, and amp that I get, So I just try to, conserve all of my energy until the moment of truth, and that's fight night.
Terence, it's interesting. They always talk about the will to win. And Bobby Knight once said it's the most overrated thing. You got to have the will to prepare. Mm-hmm. And Terence, I've always thought that your discipline was a weapon because unlike these other guys that take time off, you don't actually get out of shape. And I actually see you doing pre-camp, mini-camp, then training camp. So you're never really out of shape. Do you still have that same passion for the sport you did, let's say, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago?
Of course. I think it's even more now than it was back then, given the fact that I'm older now and I feel like I got something to prove because everybody is gunning for me. And, you got people saying, oh, well, he's old now and he's going to hit that roadblock to where he moved up too much and coming from 35 to 54 is a big jump. And, you just hear all the negative things that they say about me. Oh, I've been hurt in smaller weight classes and this is a big puncher. So I'm just ready to, silence all the critics.
Well, to piggyback on what you were saying, Kim, you remind me a lot, Bud, of one of my favorites too, Bernard Hopkins, in the sense that, always stay in shape. I feel because you're so fundamentally sound and well-schooled, you could be fighting for another 10 years if you want to. How long do you plan on staying in the game?
Not too much longer, to be honest.
Really? Okay. You got a number in mind? You just don't want to say?
We're gonna see.
I get the sense that if he gets Canelo, that could be the one. Am I completely off base on that one, Terence?
Who knows? Who knows?
Okay.
Well, Terence, we will see you later this week. And look, in a different circumstance, when you're in LA, please drop by the studio. We'd love to have you inside.
Hey, we got a lot of tequila, man.
He doesn't drink, though. Well, you know,
Don't drink.
it's discipline.
I didn't know if afterwards. I'll see. I'm a bad influence. Don't kick it with me.
Don't listen to him.
Don't listen to me.
All right, Terence, we'll see you later this week. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, we'll be back with more of the 3 Knockdown Rule brought to you by Hustler Casino.
Review preview.
All right, we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule. Mario, let's take a look at some of this card that is taking place at the BMO Stadium in LA Saturday.
Very good.
Heavyweights in action, and I do mean heavyweights. Andy Ruiz takes on Israil, really big baby Miller. This is a crossroads matchup. Mario, did you know that Jarrell Miller, when he got knocked out late by Daniel Dubois, was 333 pounds? Let me put that into perspective. Most defensive tackles or nose guards in the National Football League aren't that heavy.
How tall is he?
Not tall enough to make 333 look like he's in good shape.
Right. So I'm hoping he's slimmed down. It looks like he's slimmed down.
Well, his promoter, Greg Cohen, has been sending me photos, and I will say this. Looks like a before and after pic for Ozempic.
That's significant. Then.
Right, so he's downsized.
He's down. Okay, that's significant. Ruiz looks like he's downsized as well. I think maybe these two guys realize it's a bit of a crossroads match, and they're going to bring the fireworks. Ruiz says he's really focused this time. I know we haven't seen him in the ring in literally a couple of years, and we've talked about how frustrating it is that he wasn't able to capitalize on the huge Rocky-like upset when he fought Joshua. But maybe he's either running out of money or he realizes that he now, after a victory, he could be in the mix for some bigger paydays, and he's had sort of a come to Jesus.
Look, he's a heavyweight, and he's Mexican, and people know who he is.
And he can fight.
And let's see if he still has that fluid hand speed. Yes. I think that might be the advantage. Also on this card, Jared Big Baby Anderson. Mario, this is his first real test. Martin Bakoli out of Congo, fights in the UK.
We got
heavy-handed, solid guy. He can bang a little bit.
2 big babies.
Yes.
We got 2 big babies.
Right.
Both can swat a little bit. Yes, I really like this card. I think it's a very well-matched card.
Yeah, and Jared Anderson, I believe he's going to be at least 2 or 3 inches shorter. And in his last fight, Martin Bakoli was 299. But I think his optimum is like 275. So he's going to be the smaller guy, but I think he's the more athletic guy. I think Big Baby still has too much in terms of a complete arsenal. But there's a risk of danger in this fight. And finally, also on this card, super middleweight David Morrell. That's another guy, much like Madrimov. He doesn't even have a dozen fights, but I still think he's very elite in this division. Yes. He takes on Hot Rod Kalaje. And for all the talk, and look, I'm with David Benavidez. I wish that he would have got the fight with Canelo. But let me just tell you something. David Morrell is so dangerous and good. David Benavidez never brings his name up. There's a reason for it. All right, we come back. We talk to the Dream himself. It was a big night on Saturday night. Mario and I talked to Israil Madrimov. And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule brought to you by Hustler Casino, and joining us on the championship hotline, a group of men that got a great task ahead of them. August 3rd at BMO Stadium. They are going to be facing Terence Crawford in defense of the WBA 154-pound title. Mario, it's Israil, the Dream Madrimov.
Yes. Welcome, Israil. Welcome, team. Very excited. I got to tell you, LA has not had an event of this magnitude in such a long time. It's going to be so incredible. Like you said, it's at BMO Stadium, home of LAFC. It's outside. The weather's beautiful, and this is a stacked card. And you, my friend, are at the top of this card facing Terence Crawford, his WBA 154-pound title. How are you feeling? How has training been going?
Alhamdulillah, very nice. I'm feeling great. This camp for me, it's very beautiful, and my dream is coming true. because I'm waiting this fight. My team waiting this fight. My country, my family. You know, this fight for me is changing everything. You know, inshallah.
Love that you recognize this incredible opportunity. Now, Israil, how are you approaching the, not to give away any sort of strategy, but are you approaching this fight against Crawford? Because you always seem incredibly well prepared, like you are any other opponent. Are you changing a certain sort of strategy, approach? Is the training different at all?
Относишься к нему как к Теренсу Кроуфорду, потому что ты всегда в хорошей форме, ты всегда как бы хорошо готов, но что-то в этом бою по-другому или все так же?
Yes, of course. I'm looking this fight very focusing, you know, because my dream come, because my time, my division, this I want show fight, great fight, inshallah.
Also joining us is Vadim Kornilov, the longtime manager, along with Alik Frolov, who's doing the translating for us. Vadim, quick question. You guys beat Magomed Kubranov on March 8th for this title. Very solid performance. When did this offer first come to your attention to face Bud? And then how long did it take you to kind of figure out if this was the right opportunity at the right time?
I got contacted by Eddie and the Matchroom guys, you know, talking about the possibility of this, because I guess the guys in Riyadh got to see Israil perform, and you know, even though he was kind of like on the starting on the baseline cards bouts, he still attracted a lot of attention over there. And I guess when the opportunity came up for Crawford to fight, it sounded to me like they just said, you know, we will do it, but we want to see him against Madrimov. I think that's the way the conversation went. And the second part of the question took a little longer, you know, because we were contemplating, you know, he just became a world champion. This offer came through probably within the next month or so, or, you know, within the 2 months after the fight. So we had to really think carefully and decide on what to do, because there was parts of the team that were against it. There were parts of the team that thought it would be better to be patient and wait for the right moment. And, you know, Crawford would still go after all the belts. But the majority of the team thought this is the time. The majority of the team thought that, you know, Madrimov is the toughest opponent that Terence Crawford has faced. And, you know, we don't want to miss this opportunity. It might never come again.
Malik, I'd like to ask Israil a very simple question. Was he surprised that Terence Crawford and his camp chose him to fight next?
Теренс Кроуфорд для проведения боя. Ты удивился?
Ну, я не ожидал, конечно. Ну, когда сообщили, что предложение есть с Кроуфордом, я уже давайте сделаем. Просто у всех бывает в жизни один раз такой шанс. Я это и всегда хотел с лучшими боксировать и показать свой бокс, свой стиль. Поэтому сразу согласился. И, иншаллах, я сделаю вот эту миссию, да?
You know what? It's I didn't expect it. But there was a dream of mine to fight someone of that level, of that caliber. And when the opportunity came in, I knew that it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, you know, and that's the fight that I always wanted. And, you know, God bless, God willing, I'm going to get this mission accomplished.
Good for you to recognize that these sort of opportunities are really once in a lifetime. You never know when they can resurface again. What are your thoughts on Crawford right now? 36 years old, about to be 37, obviously incredibly skilled and talented. But do you think your youth and your hunger will overcome everything he has to offer?
Я думаю, что ты моложе и что ты можешь как бы за счет своего голода все сделать.
Да, он лучший боксер сейчас. Ну, для меня лучший боксер, потому что я посмотрел бои. Каждый бой он покажет лучшие бои всем фанатам бокса. И последний бой тоже хорошо боксировал и в лучшем форме держит он. Насколько он 37, да? 37 лет, но все равно у него форма очень хорошо. Ну, это бокс. Посмотрим. У меня цель только одна победа. Я боксирую, иншаллах. И посмотрим в ринге. Это будет все ясно.
Terence, in my opinion, for me, he's the best pound for pound fighter. I respect him. I like his style. I've been watching him for a long time. I like the way he fights and appreciate his skills in boxing. But again, it's my time, and I feel like I never step in the ring in my life thinking that I'm going to lose the fight. I'm always preparing only for the victory, and God bless. This time is not going to be different. I'm stepping into the ring to win this fight.
But I've covered Israil since day one, and I still remember a great weekend I spent with you guys in Frisco, Texas, one of the last cards before the pandemic when he was on that card. But I know there's been some roadblocks, Vadim. There was Jermel Charlo, who basically roadblocked that division for about 2 years. Then we had the pandemic, and then there was a lack of dates. How frustrating has it been for you guys knowing that all of these obstacles existed? And was one of the decisions that you had to ponder, Vadim, in terms of making this fight is Israil seasoned enough? How much did you ponder all of that?
Steve, to be honest, I always say that, nothing good comes out of being easy to get. All the things that have obstacles and all the things that are harder and more difficult and, you have to persevere, those are the things that pay off in life, and in boxing, it's no other. It's really about going through all the difficulties. And Israil, it's been a tough career, but which boxer can you name that had it easy? Every one of them has to go through certain stages to get to the top. And for this fight, like, in my opinion, just subjectively speaking, the main thing, Crawford is the best. Crawford is one of the top pound for pound. He's fought some of the biggest stars, biggest names in his divisions that he was in previously. But has he fought many top level prospects is the question. Young and coming and guys that are basically on the verge, they're peaking, they're there, they want to take away what you have. It's really about that. And I know any top boxing elite boxer has that pedigree. They want it, they know how to take it, they try to do everything they can, but it's all about that one guy, and it's all about that one opportunity that Mario mentioned. It's about taking and seizing the opportunity that came around.
Well, speaking of that, can you ask Israil, does he feel as though his style is the most unique that Terence Crawford will have ever faced?
Ты чувствуешь, что твой стиль бокса самый уникальный, с кем Теренс когда-то дрался? Ну, как особенный стиль, что он с такими как бы не встречался?
И я думаю, да. Постараюсь, чтобы как сюрприз готовить, да, ему. И покажем.
Yes, I think so. I believe so. That's I have a different style from everyone else, and I like surprises. So I also want to surprise him in the ring too.
And obviously Crawford is going up in weight. Yes. He's facing a young, strong guy who's hungry, ambitious. How he receives those punches remains to be seen. I think this is going to be a fascinating fight and entertaining at that.
Vadim, in your view, and I know you have a very biased opinion, understandably, how do you guys shock the world August 3rd? How does it happen?
It's like there's always been that saying, you're supposed to win the fight that you're supposed to lose to become a star. You have to win the fight that you're supposed to lose. And it's really, you can't technically describe right now and say, oh, Israil, he's got better footwork, or, he's going to be the 154 that Crawford doesn't expect power-wise. I think all those things kind of play in, but it's really about the stars aligning. And for that to happen, just like with Bivol Canelo, nobody expected it. He came in, he did what he was supposed to do. He was confident. He wasn't worried about anything. It's just that type of thing. And again, sometimes when fighters move up in weight, when fighters are already at the top, sometimes they get a little,
complacent.
They give them, yeah, exactly. They give opportunities that maybe they shouldn't give. And at the end of the day, I just hope there's no excuses, because I believe Israil has all the qualities to do what many don't expect.
All right, so Israil, we want to ask you this before we wrap it up. Alik, how does he shock the world August 3rd? How does he get it done? What happens?
Как ты шокируешь весь мир в этом бою? Что должно произойти? Как ты хочешь это сделать?
Only victory, inshallah. I want to show all boxing fans big drama show, big show, great show for all boxing fans. For this fight, a lot of people don't believe me, because I won't show I can do.
Yes, I like it. He's confident.
Yes, he is. And keep this in mind. This is the same group of guys that pulled the upset with Dimitri Bivol against Saul Canelo Alvarez a couple of years ago. So, gentlemen, we will see you out there later this weekend. Best of luck. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you.
Look forward to it. Good to see you guys.
All right. And I can't wait. I think that he's got a lot of physical tools, a lot of athleticism that's going to give them problems. But anyway, all right. Well, that's it. Thank you to them. We'll be back with more of the 3 Knockdown Rule brought to you by Hustler Casino. And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule, just a star-studded lineup we have. Hey, folks, are you looking to get involved with 3 Knockdown Rule and sponsor our show? We have some spots available. Please email us at info@boxbid.io. Once again, that's info@boxbid.io. Boxbid.io is an online platform that helps professional boxers connect with their fans by providing exclusive Fight Week merchandise, memorabilia, and sponsorships. You can even buy a shout-out on Boxbid. Boxbid.io handles our sponsorships, and we are proudly working with Boxbid.io. Mario, the hits just keep coming here.
Oh, man, I'm very excited. Just had the pleasure of meeting my man, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, who's in the building.
¡Órale!
Gracias por venir, campeón. ¿Cómo te sientes?
No, al contrario, Mario, muchas gracias. Muy contento y estamos ya a escasos días.
Thank you. Very happy to be here, and just a few more days to the fight.
Oh, we got Tino on the edits.
And the translation. He does a lot here.
Tino on the translation. This Saturday, I'll keep it in English for our fans right here, too. You are defending your WBA junior welterweight title versus Rayo Valenzuela. How are you feeling going into the match, and what do you think of your opponent?
Está defendiendo tu título de la AMB de 140 libras. ¿Cómo te sientes? ¿Cómo ves el oponente, José Rayo Valenzuela?
Estamos muy contentos de hacer la primera defensa del título. Estamos muy bien preparados y no hay excusa para poder ganar.
Very excited to be there. He feels very well prepared for the fight. No excuses. He's going to be ready to go come Saturday.
All right, so Tina, I have a question. Going back to March 30th, did it surprise him at all how easily he beat Rolly Romero?
¿Te sorprendió qué tan fácil fue cuando le ganaste a Rolly Romero?
No me sorprendió porque para eso me preparé, para dar la sorpresa y ir a callar bocas.
Not at all. It didn't surprise me at all. I mean, I went there to shut mouths up and win that title.
¿Y pega recio ese cabrón o qué?
Pues nada más con la boca, porque con los puños no.
He hits hard with his mouth, but not with his punches.
I asked him if he hit hard. He said he's just with his mouth. Because he's big. He said, because está grande el pinche. Sí, está alto, ¿verdad?
Sí, está alto y tiene buen alcance, pero no nos hizo nada.
He has good reach, but he didn't do anything to us.
Isaac, it's interesting. You fought March 30th, and now you're coming back early August. By today's standards, that's a pretty quick turnaround. Was there any hesitation for him in taking this fight?
Pues estás regresando al cuadrilátero rápido porque peleaste en marzo y ahora vas a pelear otra vez. ¿Tuviste dudas de pelear otra vez porque fue tan rápido o no quisiste pelear?
No, de ninguna manera, al contrario, quisimos aprovechar la preparación de la pelea pasada y bueno, nada más seguir continuando con el plan de trabajo ahora para José Valenzuela.
Not at all. I wanted to pick up steam from that last win and just prepare for this fight against José Valenzuela.
And going back to December of 2021, what do you remember most about the fight versus Tank Davis?
¿Qué te acuerdas más de esa pelea contra Yervanta?
La entrega de la gente que le agradezco mucho y bueno, yo ahora vengo o regreso a Los Ángeles como campeón y vengo a hacer mi trabajo, a dar un gran espectáculo para que la gente sea la ganadora.
The love I got from the people, and now I come back to LA as a champion and to return the favor and give them a great fight.
Well, I remember that night at what they used to call the Staples Center. Now it's the Crypto.com.
Right.
That fight was very close, Mario.
It was.
In fact, on paper, it's the closest fight, Tank. And I know people that thought this man won. So the question is, where does the priority rank in terms of getting another fight with Gervonta Davis?
Para esa pelea, mucha gente te vio ganar y fue la pelea más cercana que estuvo más apretada para Gervonta. So, what was the last part?
Where does it rank? Does he want the rematch?
¿Quieres la revancha contra Gervonta?
Sí, totalmente, es algo que hemos querido después de la decisión, pero bueno, por ciertas cosas nos han podido dar esa segunda parte, pero nosotros estamos trabajando en que nuestra carrera sea exitosa y brillante.
Without a doubt, I want that rematch. That's the fight I want, but we're working towards it right now.
Can you go back down to 135 to make that rematch?
¿Puedes bajar a 135 libras para hacer esa revancha?
Sí, sin ningún problema.
Without a doubt, I can.
No problem.
All right, hold on. One of his advisors, old friend of mine, Secret Service, Sean Gibbons. Sean, yes or no, real quick, roll out. Next year, do you think you make the rematch?
We make it easy. You just got to get Tank on board.
There you go. I mean, Sean Gibbons has spoken, as far as I'm concerned. Put it in the calendar for 2025.
But let's not overlook this Saturday. What are your thoughts on Valenzuela?
¿Qué piensas de
Valenzuela?
José Rayo Valenzuela?
Es un peleador fuerte que respetamos, pero bueno, nosotros nos preparamos muy bien durante 4 meses para que no haya sorpresas y nosotros dar la sorpresa de la retención del título.
He's a strong fighter. We respect him, but we prepared for 4 months to win.
And not have any surprises.
All right, I'm just going to say this, though. From people that were there, including Tino, on March 30th, and I know from other witnesses in that venue, the largest fan base, believe it or not, was for this man. This is becoming a Mexican fan favorite.
Oh, he's a fan-friendly fighter here, too.
So make sure you're in your seat by that time.
Of course I'm going to be in my seat
right there. I know you like to go to the free bar, get the drinks, and kid it. Actually,
well, I do love a free bar, but...
Well, so do I. But anyway, Isaac, best of luck. I think you're in for a real fight, and should you win that fight, I hope you get to face Tank once again. Thank you for joining us.
Buena suerte y ojalá agarres la revancha contra Tanque. Y también dijo que en la pelea, el estelar fue Tim Tszyu contra Fundora. Tú te robaste el show. Tú eras el estelar, no ellos.
Muchas gracias y nosotros solo nos enfocamos en que nuestro trabajo sea exitoso y que la gente sea la ganadora de todas las presentaciones y muy agradecido con Dios, con toda la gente que nos apoya.
Thank you. We're grateful to God, to the people, and to the people that will be there present on Saturday. We're going to give them a great show.
Oh, he's a gentleman.
All right. Well, we've covered a lot.
We've covered a lot.
I mean, we have a special show coming out later this week with Eddie Hearn, but we talked to Israil Madrimov, Terence Crawford, and last but not least, Isaac, Pitbull, Cruz. Mario, I cannot wait for this weekend.
I cannot wait. And let me just say, Cruz is looking in really good shape. He already looks really focused. You're going to want to not miss a moment of this action. Gracias por todo, amigo. And great job.
Thank you.
Thank you,
He's our Gladys
Tino
Rosa.
on the translations.
He's our Gladys Rosa. Did a hell of a job there. All right, so thank you very much. Look, we want to give thanks to everyone that made this show possible. Smoke and Tim Frazier and Tino on the edits.
And translations.
So this has been the 3 Knockdown Rule brought to you by Hustler Casino.